But here you have a huge customer which have done fast. Yeah.
选了一个。
第一个。
Okay, so last speaker look out for me. 2 minutes, 1 minute, I will inform. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Good morning everyone, my name is Timothy and together with me is my team from Delta Consulting, Darren, Nashon and Jade. Today we'll be presenting our analysis and recommendations for Rosewood Hotels and Resorts. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment to share my own travel experience. I had my first travel experience when I was just a young teenager. Since then, I've travelled to various countries many more times. However, I've noticed that my experience with the hotel concierge in overseas countries wasn't as unique and different from other hotels in other countries. As a frequent traveller, a unique and unparalleled experience provided by the hotel means a lot to me and will definitely add value to my travel experience in that country. Our group believes that Rosewood Hotels and Resorts should tap onto this need in their rebranding strategy. Our team have hence come up with these outcomes that we want Rosewood Hotels and Resorts to achieve. Firstly, an occupancy rate of 70%, and we also want to increase the number of multi-property guests in our hotel to 10%. And last but not least, we want to increase the average number of visits per year per guest to 1.4. Moving on to our industry analysis, we have identified the key issue that Rosewood Hotels are facing. As individual branded hotels, the proportion of repeat customers is only 5%. And this is compared to the usual corporate hotels where the proportion of repeat customers is around 15%. And one of the reasons causing this unproportionate figure is the lack of connection drawn between the various Rosewood properties and the lack of understanding of the Rosewood brand and group itself. And hence, we have identified opportunities that Rosewood can tap on, and mainly an opportunity for Rosewood to increase their scalability and cross-property usage. Besides the earlier reasons stated as to why our cross-usage rate is lower than the corporate hotels, another reason is because of our customers' perception and experience. For Rosewood Hotels, for instance, there's a higher risk of quality demands not being met, and this is because travellers tend to have a higher trust on hotels that are under a common group. And using individualized branding, customers tend to have a perception that these hotels are not under a common group, even though if they are under one. Also, there's an increased cost of searching as an individual hotel brand may not be as strong as a group name. As looking from a corporate hotel's point of view, there's a decrease in the perceived risk of research costs as corporate branding has a prominent brand name as compared to individual brand names. As a result, people may perceive less when researching. And this gives the customers a sense of quality assurance as there's consistent brand equity and strict guidelines in the various hotels under the same group. And hence, this helps to simplify our pre-purchase evaluation for our customers. And hence, Rosewood customers are less likely to have cross-property usage. Next, I would like to analyze our customer profile. Our typical customer or hotel guest is an infrequent traveller who most probably travel 2 to 3 times a year. As a result, their awareness on travel brands are limited. While each hotel guest has slightly different needs and wants, the overarching theme of a hotel guest needs and wants revolves around a unique and unparalleled service experience and a seamless overseas travel. Next, I'll talk about the core competencies the Rosewood Hotels possesses. Firstly, is a strong focus on a sense of place, and this is done through its uniqueness of each location, the strong brand equity in individual branding properties, and the nature of IBP, which is a flexibility in design and management of IBP. And as a result, there is more localized travel experience, and customers are more likely to have a deeper impression of the hotel and the city. Also, the superior quality customer service which encompasses unparalleled service, attention to details, and a relaxed environment. Through this, we aim to reinforce our brand as a global premium brand a higher retention rate. Hence, Rosewood Hotels should expand globally while retaining its authentically localized offering. This is because of the cons of individual branded properties such as a high search cost, and customers may be more apprehensive when booking with such hotels. And also, the drawbacks of corporate branding includes a homogeneous experience and a can and cookie cutter luxury approach. And the brand equity in each property may be low. And hence, we want to solidify our positioning as a global brand with localized experience. I'll now pass over my time to Darren to be talking about the recommendations.
Thank you, Timothy. So now that we know what Rosewood is capable of and where we want to position ourselves, we need to first take a closer look at the customer journey. So a typical customer will either book his trip online or through a travel agent. And after booking a trip with Rosewood, they will then embark on a journey to one of our luxurious properties. And after their stay, they will then either rebook with Rosewood or with another hotel. Currently, Rosewood focuses its efforts on the part of the journey that takes place within the hotel itself. But our group believes that Rosewood can benefit greatly from widening its efforts to encompass the process leading up to the stay itself. Before delving deeper into our recommendations, let's take a look at the luxury travelers that Rosewood attracts. They are affluential explorers that seek to add to their bank of experiences wherever they go. They value a super luxurious hospitality experience, and they seek out experiences that are one of a kind. What this means is that Rosewood's choice of marketing channels needs to be aligned with the values and objectives of its core customer group, and that these marketing channels need to be well positioned for growth in the near future. Keeping these two criteria in mind, our team proposes that Rosewood list its properties for booking on mrandmrssmith.com. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is a travel booking and review site that specializes in ultra-luxurious destinations. Our team believes that Rosewood's properties exemplify the qualities that Mr. and Mrs. Smith looks for in their luxurious locales, and that the site's visitors personify the characteristics that we observe in our core customer group. Such an arrangement will be a win-win situation for both parties, as Rosewood will be able to tap on the large user base of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, while Mr. and Mrs. Smith will be able to provide its users with a wider variety of individual branded properties courtesy of Rosewood hotels and resorts. Now that we have discussed how to improve Rosewood's online channel presence, it's also important for us to focus our efforts on offline bookings. Surveys have shown that a large majority of customers base their booking decisions on their travel agents' recommendations, and that travel agents often recommend hotels of the highest quality to their customers. What this means is that Rosewood needs to obtain the buy-in of travel agents, as they are a major gatekeeper in the decision-making process of the customer. Our team proposes a travel agent hotel stay program, where we will invite our trusty travel agent to experience the Rosewood experience, where they will understand more about the value proposition that we bring to our customers and will be more likely to recommend it to their subsequent ones. Combining our online and offline marketing efforts, the Rosewood introduction will contribute an additional 16% sales revenue. Now Jane will take us through the Rosewood experience.
Thank you, Darren. So as mentioned previously, Rosewood should incorporate both the strategies so as to get best of both worlds. So with the Rosewood introduction, Rosewood has successfully increased its brand outreach and raised brand awareness. And now with the Rosewood experience, Rosewood will focus on leveraging on its core competency in delivering unparalleled, unique, and localized experiences, emphasizing a sense of place in all its Rosewood properties. Rosewood will thereby continue to build on its individual branded properties and solidify its positioning as a global brand with unparalleled and localized experiences. So, in order to solidify Rosewood's brand position, Rosewood seeks to reduce friction in customer journey, streamline customer process, and also increase customer delight at every single touch point possible, from the pre-check-in phase to the actual stay and the checkout phase. So firstly, we noticed that our Rosewood customers tend to face certain difficulties in getting transport from the airport to the hotel. And with the Rosewood experience, we'll have a Rosewood ambassador to head down to the airport to pick the customer up in a Rosewood limousine. And this Rosewood limousine has our branding positioning where we have The Carlisle, which retains the integrity of your individual branded property, but still have that subtle and soft touch to it where we're trying to tell them that we are also a Rosewood hotel. So what this service does is that it streamlines the process, it reduces the frustration faced by customers, and it reduces the friction in their customer journey. And subconsciously, customers will be able to better associate The Carlisle with a Rosewood hotel. Secondly, customers also find that checking in is a cumbersome and tedious process. So the Rosewood ambassador at the pickup point will thereby provide real-time updates to the receptionist back at the hotel and complete the check-in process during the ride itself. So this seeks to reduce the friction and streamlines the customer experience so that the moment the customer steps into the hotel, they will receive the keys at their doorsteps and they don't even need to check into the hotel. Next, during the stay, we noticed that customers desire this unparalleled, unique, and localized experience. So our Rosewood ambassadors will thereby answer their questions and offer them insights on the local culture. So every single Rosewood ambassador will have to be trained on the local culture, local activities that's happening in the vicinities, so that our customers can learn more about the local scene from our trusty Rosewood ambassadors. This provides the unparalleled service like never before. And this increases the customer delight and increases customer satisfaction. Fourthly, and the last but not least, is that Rosewood seeks to go beyond the usual checkout process. So Rosewood ambassadors will delight the customer with local gifts at the end of their stay. This increases their customer delight at every touch point.
Here's a gift for you, ma'am.
Oh my! It's a souvenir from the Times Square? Oh, thank you! This is so thoughtful. So, as mentioned previously, by leveraging on our core competencies to focus on key details and key likes of the customers, we are able to become the obvious choice in the customer's mind. So, Rosewood seeks to streamline its process right from the start of the customer journey so that we will become a visible and memorable brand from the online travel accommodation providers, the offline travel agents, and then become the most obvious choice in the end of the customers, in their eventual customer stay. With this, we believe we'll be able to contribute an additional 10% in sales revenue. Now Nashon will take you through the implementation and financials.
Thank you, Jane. This is our implementation timeline. The introduction of our global brand can begin immediately, and we anticipate that the results will be seen within a year. Moreover, for under Rosewood introduction, we anticipate sourcing and negotiation with the travel agents and Mr. and Mrs. Smith to take approximately a year before we can secure participation for the first batch of travel agents to participate in Rosewood introduction. This project will be carried out in 4 batches, carried out once a year from 2005 and 2008. We hope that for every batch, the sales will increase by 3% as compared to the previous year's business as usual unique customer units. By 2009, we anticipate that the number of unique customers will increase by 17,000. Under Rosewood Experience, we will take the first year to conduct our market research and conduct staff training before we roll out these initiatives at 2 of our locations, mainly the Carlisle as well as the mansion on Turtle Creek. By the end of the 2 years, we hope that the customer satisfaction will increase by 95% at these 2 properties before we fully roll out this strategy to the remaining hotels. We anticipate that by the end of 2008, the sales revenue will increase by 10%. We will now move on to our financials. We made 4 major assumptions. The first one being that the business as usual sales unit will increase by a CAGR of 4.1%. Moreover, the introduction of our House of Brand strategy will help us to retain an additional 5% of unique customers from previous years due to the ease of brand identification, as they will start to recognize us as the hotel that provides a unique sense of place experience as well as a seamless, unparalleled customer service. Moreover, under the Rosewood introduction, we anticipate, as I mentioned previously, that travel agents will bring us an additional 3% unique customers to Rosewood as compared to previous years, whereas Rosewood Experience will help us retain an additional 5% of unique customers from our previous years. Thus, we anticipate our revenue to increase to 525 million in 2009, growing at a CAGR of 14.3%. These solutions will also help us achieve certain key performance indicators, mainly that the percentage of multi-property guests will increase from 5 to 11.5% by 2009. Net profit per guest will also increase from 270 to 416 by the end of the period. This means that this brings us to the fact that our profitability for the period will also experience an incremental increase to 19.6% in 2009. With this, we believe that with our recommendations, we believe that Rosewood Hotel will become a globally renowned brand that is well known for their unique sense of place experience, as well as for their seamless customer service. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to clarify some stuff. Does the limousine ride apply to anyone who is staying at the two places you mentioned? Like as long as you got a room, the guy will come and pick you up in the limousine. Does that apply to everyone or a select group within your customer pool?
It applies to
Everyone.
everyone.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay, yeah, so with that, right, I'm factoring in the cost of your gifts, and I assume your Rosewood ambassadors will be retrained staff, right, and not newly hired. Oh, okay. So with that, do you have a cost projection of how much it's going to cost you to get a limousine to fetch every single one to the hotel, and also the training of your staff and the cost of your local gifts and the things that you're going to provide?
Okay, for the cost projection, actually, we only managed to project the additional manpower that's increased, but we haven't actually really factored in the cost of the additional add-ons yet.
Okay.
So regarding the point of the ambassadors, the staff being trained as ambassadors, so they provide a fuller suite of services in the sense like personalized service, how to tailor your experience for the guests. I understand the attractiveness of the idea, but also in terms of guests that actually have pre-booked their itinerary beforehand, is there some way that you can have a customer touch point for them, as compared to having the guests there to come here first? Then they might possibly consult you for one or two places to eat, but it's not going to be something that you rely on the hotel full-fledged on. So is there some other touch point beforehand, perhaps, where you can provide more value to a customer such that they recognize it as, oh, this is really a Rosewood experience?
So before the customer actually departs on their trip, right, based on our booking records, we will contact the customers beforehand to find out their itinerary so that we can arrange for the transport from the airport as well. So it's during that process where we can iron out certain details about maybe where they want to go, or maybe they don't want to go to the hotel first, they want to go somewhere else first. It's possible.
Okay, I want to clarify something. For your Rosewood experience, are you proposing to standardize the entire experience across all the Rosewood properties? So that means, like you said, from the check-in to the pre-check-in during the stay and check-out phase, are you standardizing across all properties?
So it will be a mix between standardization but yet localization. So this is a service that can be expected at all Rosewood properties, but it is something that is curated to where the Rosewood properties is located at. So for example, if I'm located in Japan, I want obviously the gifts and the gifts that will be provided will be something that is a highlight of the Japan trip as compared to them staying in New York or whatsoever. So it's a standardized service, but it is curated to based on your likings and also to the location that the Rosewood property is located at.
Another question I have is regarding the channels you all use to market Rosewood as a hotel. So there are two channels, the online and offline. So for offline, you're saying target the travel agents, give them an experience first. So perhaps like these travel agencies will actually recommend hotels. So do you anticipate any costs for that firstly? And the second one is for having your hotels to list on Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So is that something that like these kind of hotel aggregators would already do, or is Mr. and Mrs. Smith more specialized and you have to pay a listing fee? How does what are the cost drivers involved in this?
Okay, for the Mr. and Right, so we understand that it was established in 2002, but our team sees great potential in it because we noticed that the direction that they're headed with the hotels that they provide to the hotels and the resorts that they list on their website are kind of in line with the needs and the wants of our core customer group, which is a super luxurious destination with super premium service. That's why we chose Mr. and Mrs. Smith. As for the cost drivers, not too sure on that one. Yep, I will take that into consideration.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Can you do the implementation timeline? So I just want to understand a bit more about the drivers of incremental sales. You show that the first part increased the number of unique customers by 17,000, and the second one increased the sales by 10%. And this gives us a kick of
Around
14%.
yes, in total revenue around 14%.
Yeah, so just looking at the revenue base, we
see,
are
I see.
230, 40 million, and we are going to gain all the way to 560. Have you considered the occupancy rate?
Yes, we have. The occupancy rate with this, if you're assuming that the number of hotels remain the same, will be approximately 90%. So it's around, yes, it's around 57% around that. So if you assume that the number of number of hotels remain the same, you'll reach around 90. But we don't expect the number of hotels to remain the same because they still have additional hotels that they are intending to build in the future. But we didn't really factor that into account for our projection.
So do you think 90% occupancy rate is about?
If you're assuming the number, as in the 90% won't be 90%, it'll be much lower because they'll be adding hotels.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at numbers, right? And
Yeah,
I'm only taking whatever you're presenting to me. I'm saying it's okay. So let's say you have new hotels. What do you think your occupancy rate will be?
I think it will drop around to around 70%, 70 plus.
So are you increasing having 4 hotels built in the next 4 years?
They have 2 hotels that they are still under construction at the moment.
Okay. Let's take a 70% occupancy rate. Do you think that's
Hmm. Possibly. If
accounting for seasonality?
I think if you take it on an averaging basis through the year, it will probably be 70%.
Okay, let's look at your profit chart. So how are you driving profits? With increased cost from limousine, from your gifts, from your trainings, whatsoever. How are you driving profits?
Okay, so actually for our projections, we didn't really consider the limousines and gifts into account. We only considered the additional manpower that was actually involved.
Sure.
So I think the profitability may have to go down a bit if we do consider the other limousines and gifts in the
Okay. But on this base case, what is the incremental 160 bits in terms of profit?
Sorry, what is the base case on the
For
drivers?
this case, let's exclude all the extra costs that we just talked about. What is the driver behind the 1.6% increase in profit?
Okay, because they are gaining new customers every time. So the number, because there's this portion which they accounted for the new customer acquisition cost. So this new customer acquisition cost will be going down throughout the years. So the profitability thus will increase because it's.
So your price will stay the same.
Nope. The price they gave a 6% expected increase in revenue. So the daily spend actually increased by around. So if you use the numbers they provide, this would be the average revenue that we can generate per year.
And this is from where?
This is from the assumption that the Rosewood management provided in the case.
Yeah, correct. So do you see that it's from a price gain, or are they spending more in terms of the amenities they provide?
I think it'll be for both. Like after all, we still have to. For one, we have to account for inflation. Then secondly, is we can increase the price incrementally as the years go.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just got a last question. Are you planning to increase your room rate prices for your guests?
I I think to account for the fact that, okay, I will say yes to the extent that, okay, because we need to account for inflation, that's one. And secondly is the additional costs that we need to incur as a result of this limousine and all the different gifts that we are going to incur, right? We will need to find some way. The only place is to increase the room rates. So we won't increase very drastically, possibly by the percentage that the management has advised us in the case.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you enter your password? Yeah. Wait, so you do the briefing or is it
We're supposed to consolidate first.
you need to